Welcome, everybody. We start today with a huge congratulations to MAGA and an attaboy to Donald Trump. What am I talking about? Well, Donald Trump didn't just light himself on fire politically in these first 100 days. He has managed to burn down the Canadian right wing as well. This actually does require some skill. You don't often see this. What happened is that after months of Trump threatening to annex Canada, launching a new trade war, treating Canadians like they were just the 51st state waiting to be taken over, Canadians have revolted. And what happened is that Canada's own little Trump knockoff, Pierre Poilievre, went from almost becoming the next prime minister to losing his own seat altogether. This is not just losing the election to be prime minister. This is losing his personal seat. Completely humiliating. And meanwhile, Mark Carney, who has only really been in the discussion for prime minister recently, rode this wave of anti-Trump backlash in Canada straight into the prime minister's office. We're going to look momentarily at some of his victory speech. So let's be very clear about how this all went down. The Canadian right and Pierre Poilievre thought that they could campaign on affordability, on being tough on crime, and sort of ride Justin Trudeau's unpopularity right into victory. But then in comes Trump like a wrecking ball, first with threats to slap massive tariffs on Canada, then with open talk of an annexation, then reimposing tariffs, pulling them back, reimposing them again. And suddenly the question for Canadian voters was no longer how much do you hate Justin Trudeau? It was, wait a second, are you going to vote for the equivalent of Trump in Canada, even if Poilievre recently sort of saw the writing on the wall and started to distance from Trump? Here is one example of a Canadian voter yesterday.
I think who I voted for would be the best to take care of Trump, because Trump is, I'm sorry to say, an ass, and he shouldn't even be president of the United States. But because he is, we need a strong person so that we could stand strong.
Because Trump is president, the calculus for Canadian voters was different. Who can defend Canada from a lunatic American president became the question. The answer, if the question is who can defend us from Trump, the answer can't be Canadian mini Trump. It just doesn't make sense. In the choice, Pierre Poilievre looked like Trump's mini-me. And Mark Carney, a former central banker, ended up looking like the adult in the room who was going to resist these terrible impulses from MAGA and from Trump. So what the Liberal Party of Canada managed to do is turn the election into a referendum on Trumpism, and it worked. The end result, Carney and the Liberals securing another term. Pierre Poilievre, again, the guy who was supposed to be Canada's next prime minister, didn't just lose the election, he lost his own district of Carleton, a conservative stronghold, to a Liberal newcomer. Conservatives collapsed in a number of suburban ridings, as they call them there. And as the CBC put it, a miraculous Liberal minority, maybe even a majority once the final counts are in, all because of Donald J. Trump. Trump managed to nationalize Canadian politics in Canada, and it backfired spectacularly. Mark Carney didn't hold back in his victory speech. He basically told Trump, we are not your property. We are not your 51st state. And if you think you're going to bully Canada, it is not going to happen.
When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations. And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many, many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians. Nous allons Nous allons renforcer nos
We
relations
will
avec des
strengthen
partenaires
our
fiables.
relationship with reliable partners in Europe, in Asia, and elsewhere in the world.
Les États-Unis
And if the
ne
US
veulent plus jouer
doesn't want to play
dans l'économie mondiale, le Canada le
a
fera.
pivotal role in the world economy, we will lead, not the Americans.
Nous sommes
So you get the idea. I mean, Mark Carney's making it crystal clear. Canada is going to rebuild its economy with less reliance on the United States. That's not good for the United States. They will strengthen and build new relationships around the world because it sounds like the era of trusting the United States is at least temporarily suspended. And he referred to it as the American betrayal. The Canadian people backed him up. So Trump promised that he was going to make America great again. And instead, it sounds like he made Canada liberal again. Humiliation for Canadian right-wingers, Trump to blame, and Mark Carney now, the grown-up in the room, becomes the Prime Minister of Canada. What an election, and really just a stark reminder of the long-range impact of Donald Trump. Disappointing, certainly, to the Canadian right wing, but probably averting disaster from the perspective of sanity and reason around the world. People in my audience know I am a bit of a pastry connoisseur. Our sponsor, Wild Grain, is the first bake from frozen subscription box for artisanal breads, pastries, and pastas. Wild Grain's boxes are customizable depending on what you like and prefer. They've got their classic variety box. They've launched the new gluten-free box. They have a plant-based box that's 100% vegan. And it just takes the hassle out of baking because all items bake from frozen in 25 minutes or less, nothing to clean up. My experience has been awesome. I love the croissants. I was having people over last week, half an hour before, preheat and throw them in the oven, and people love it. Definitely, the croissants are my favorite. The quality and the freshness of the items is extraordinary, and it is just so convenient. Go to wildgrain.com/Pacman to start your subscription and get $30 off your first box, plus free croissants in every box every month. The link is in the description.